Welcome back to English That Works. I'm David, and here with me is Claire.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for being here. Really excited about what we're diving into today.
If this is resonating, subscribe. There's more good stuff coming, and you don't want to miss it.
Exactly, and we're just getting started with this stuff. Trust me, there's better conversations coming.
You've got something important to say. You know exactly what it is, but the second you open your mouth, it all just falls apart.
And that was literally me every single time I had to present anything. Like my brain just decided to stop working right when I needed it most.
And I spent years thinking I wasn't smart enough to explain things properly. Turns out, I just didn't know how to articulate. Big difference.
I knew the material. I totally knew what I wanted to say. But the second I opened my mouth, it all just scattered everywhere.
Because here's the thing. Articulation isn't about having better ideas. It's about getting the ideas that are already in your head onto the table in a way people actually understand.
And I thought that meant I wasn't smart enough. Like, if I was actually competent, I'd be able to explain things properly, right?
And honestly, that changes everything. In meetings, in relationships, in how people perceive your competence. It's wild how much your ability to communicate clearly shapes your entire life.
Turned out I was totally wrong. It wasn't about being smart. It was about a specific skill I just hadn't developed yet.
So what does articulation actually mean? Because I think people get it confused with just being loud or talking a lot.
That's such a relief when you realize that, because it means you can actually fix it. You're not stuck being bad at communication forever.
It's clarity. It's taking a thought that's fuzzy in your brain and making it crisp when it comes out. It's knowing the exact words you want. It's not rambling. It's not repeating yourself. It's just clean.
So you said it's clarity. Breaking down what's fuzzy in your head into something crisp when you say it out loud. How does someone even know if they're doing that wrong?
And the skill part is that most people think you're either born articulate or you're not. You're either naturally good with words or you're stuck.
Because that sounds good in theory, but how do you know if your articulation is actually bad or if you're just overthinking it?
But that's completely wrong. Articulation is learnable. It's a skill like any other. You can get better at it. Actually, you can get really good at it.
People interrupt you. People ask clarifying questions when you just said something. You finish talking, and people look confused. Those are signs.
I used to ramble. Genuinely couldn't finish a sentence without going on 3 tangents. People would interrupt because they had no idea where I was headed.
So it's not like you're not hitting some invisible standard. It's feedback from the actual people you're talking to. If they don't get it, you're not being articulate enough.
And what changed wasn't that I got smarter. It was that I started being intentional about how I structured my thoughts before I said them out loud.
That's actually helpful. So what was the shift for you? When did you realize you could change it?
The structure thing. Is that where people usually get stuck? Do they know what they want to say but just can't organize it?
When I was teaching someone something I knew really well, and they said, "Oh, you explained that so clearly," I actually get it now. And I realized I'd been organizing my thoughts before I spoke.
That's exactly it. Most people have incredible thoughts. They just throw them at you in random order. It's like handing someone the ingredients instead of the finished meal.
So you didn't change what you knew, you just changed how you delivered it?
When you're articulate, you're basically doing the work of organizing your thoughts so the listener doesn't have to. That's the skill.
Exactly. Same information, totally different delivery. And people's reaction was completely different. It was like this light bulb moment where I realized how much of communication is just about structure.
So if someone's in a meeting right now and they just blanked on how to explain something, what would you tell them to do?
So if the main point goes first, then explanation, then example, that's like a guaranteed structure people will follow.
Slow down. Literally pause for a second. Most people rush because they're nervous, and that's when the rambling starts and clarity dies.
Not guaranteed, but it's so much more effective than rambling and hoping people catch your point somewhere in the middle.
Then lead with your main point. Don't build up to it. Say the core thing first, then explain it. Then maybe give an example. That's the structure.
I notice a difference with you, actually. Like when you explain something, I can follow it the first time. I don't have to ask you to repeat yourself.
People overthink it. They think they need to be poetic or sound smart. No, you just need to be clear. Clear wins every single time.
That's probably the effect of being intentional. Like before, I wasn't thinking about how to organize my thoughts, I was just spilling them.
What about when it's informal, like texting or talking to friends? Do the same rules apply?
But with friends, like when you're just venting or telling a story, does that rule change? Like, can you just ramble with your best friend?
Honestly, the framework is the same, but the execution is looser. You can ramble with friends. That's fine. That's how friends talk.
Yeah, rambling is fine with friends. That's literally what friendship is sometimes. Just letting it all out, and they get it because they know you.
But even in casual conversation, people notice when you're articulate. They listen more. They take you seriously. They actually remember what you said.
But even then, don't you notice when someone articulates well, like it feels different than just chaos?
Because clarity is rare. Most people are just noise. When someone speaks clearly and means what they're saying, it stands out.
Actually, yeah, there's people I'd rather listen to even when they're venting because they're interesting. They have a way of telling stories that just works.
There's also the confidence thing. Articulate people seem more confident, right? Is that because they are? Or is it because they sound confident?
And it's not because they're smarter or their life is more dramatic. It's just that they know how to tell the story in a way that lands with you.
Both. It's a feedback loop. When you're articulate, you sound confident. People respond better, so you feel more confident. Then you get even more articulate.
So, articulation is like a superpower then? Like it makes people want to listen to you?
The reverse is true too. You mumble, stutter, lose your train of thought. People don't take you as seriously, and you feel worse about yourself.
Kind of. Because so much of the world is just noise. Everyone's talking. Most people aren't really saying anything. When someone speaks clearly, people actually pay attention.
Which is why improving your articulation is actually a massive confidence builder. It's not just about sounding better. It literally changes how you feel about yourself.
And it's not like you have to be formal or boring. You can be totally natural and still be articulate. It's just intentional.
I noticed that shift in myself. Once I could explain things without spiraling, I stopped avoiding conversations. I started actually participating in meetings instead of sitting quiet.
So how does someone actually start building this skill? Like, what's the first step?
So let's talk about the practical side. What are the actual techniques someone can use to get better at articulation? Where do you even start?
Because it sounds like you just need to listen to articulate people and let it rub off on you. Is it really that simple?
Start with listening. Really listening. Notice how articulate people structure their thoughts. Notice how they pace their speech. Notice what words they choose.
It's simple but not effortless. You have to be paying attention, like actively noticing how people structure their thoughts, not just passively listening.
Because you absorb that naturally. You don't have to study it formally. Just pay attention to people who communicate clearly and let it rub off on you.
And reading helps. Books, articles, anything really. Your brain absorbs patterns without you even realizing it.
Reading helps too, doesn't it? Like, exposure to well-written language builds your verbal clarity.
Does it have to be like serious literature? Or could it be anything?
Absolutely. Reading is like downloading language patterns. The more you read, the more sophisticated your vocabulary becomes, the more options you have when you speak.
Honestly, anything written well. Could be a blog post, a newsletter, podcasts with good hosts. Anything where the language is actually clean and organized.
And podcasts, audiobooks, anything where you're hearing language used well. Your brain is constantly learning from what it hears.
But the practicing part is where you actually get the skill. Reading and listening are like the foundation, but you have to actually practice speaking.
Then there's the practice piece. And this is where it gets real. You have to actually practice articulating out loud, not just in your head.
And recording yourself is apparently the hack. Like, that's what makes the difference?
Talking to yourself, recording yourself, explaining ideas to friends. That's where the skill actually develops. It's uncomfortable, but it works.
Yeah, because you can't improve what you don't see. When you hear yourself rambling or using filler words constantly, suddenly you can't unhear it.
The self-recording thing is brutal at first. You hear all your habits, all your filler words, the way you trail off.
That sounds painful though, like I don't want to listen to myself.
That's the feedback you need though, right? Once you hear it, you can't unhear it, and you start changing it.
It is at first, but it's also the fastest way to change. Because self-awareness is everything. Once you know you do something, you start noticing it real time.
Exactly. Self-awareness is the first step. You can't fix what you don't know is broken. Once you hear yourself rambling or using like 50 times, you start noticing it in real time.
And then you can actually make a choice. Instead of just rambling by default, you're aware enough to pause and think before you speak.
And then you can catch it. You're in a conversation, you feel yourself about to ramble, and you just don't. You pause. You make a choice.
That's probably where I started changing too. Once I noticed my own habits, I could actually choose differently.
There's also vocabulary. A lot of people hit a ceiling because they don't have enough words to express nuance. They keep using the same adjectives over and over.
So what about vocabulary? Like, does that play into it too? Or is it more about just structure?
So, deliberately building your vocabulary is part of this. Not the boring flashcard way. The natural way. Reading, listening, asking, wait, what's another word for that?
It's both. Structure gets your point across, but vocabulary is what lets you be precise. If you only have 5 adjectives, you're stuck repeating yourself.
And people don't realize how much stronger their communication becomes when they have more precise words. It's like getting a better toolkit.
So building vocabulary on purpose is part of this. Like, it's not just a byproduct, it's something you should actively work on.
So, if someone's listening right now and they're thinking, okay, I need to get better at this, what should be their first concrete step?
Yeah, but not in a boring way. Just when you read or hear a word you like, just sit with it. Use it. That's how it becomes part of how you speak.
Record yourself explaining something you know well, something you're comfortable with. Listen back. Just notice what you hear. Don't judge, just notice.
So, if I'm listening right now and I'm like, okay, this is me, I need to fix this, what do I actually do first?
Then pick one thing to improve. Not everything at once. Maybe it's, I'm going to stop saying like. Maybe it's, I'm going to pause before I speak instead of rushing.
Record yourself talking about something you know well, something you're comfortable with. Then just listen back with no judgment. Just notice.
One small change compounds. You fix one habit, suddenly your whole communication improves because you're being intentional about it.
And then, like, is it one specific thing you work on, or do you try to fix everything at once?
And here's what people don't expect. This change has side effects. Better articulation doesn't just make you a better communicator, it makes you think more clearly.
Definitely one thing at a time. Pick the one habit that bothers you most. Work on that, then move to the next thing once it starts to stick.
Because when you have to articulate something out loud, you realize where your thinking is fuzzy. The practice of explaining forces you to clarify your own thoughts.
So it doesn't have to be this massive overhaul. It's like small incremental changes that compound.
So it's not just a communication skill, it's a thinking skill.
Exactly. And then you realize something crazy. Better articulation actually changes how you think, not just how you communicate.
Completely. The people who communicate most clearly are also the people who think most clearly, because they've had to work through their ideas out loud.
Wait, like getting better at explaining things makes you think more clearly? How does that work?
And that's valuable everywhere. In your career, in relationships, in how you make decisions. Clearer thinking changes everything.
Because when you have to articulate something, you realize where your thinking is fuzzy. You can't explain it if you don't actually understand it clearly.
The investment in getting better at articulation is actually an investment in how clearly you think. That's worth so much more than just sounding smarter.
So, like, the practice of trying to explain something forces you to think it through more carefully?
So, if you take one thing from this, let it be this. Your ideas are probably better than you think. You just need to get better at getting them out of your head and into the world clearly.
Yeah, and that compounds everywhere. In your work, in relationships, in how you make decisions. You're thinking more clearly about everything.
And the fact that you're listening to this podcast means you already care about getting better, which is honestly the hardest part.
So, it's not just a communication skill, it's an investment in how you think. That's honestly the best part of it.
Stick with this show. We're going to dive deeper into communication skills, language patterns, how to actually use English in the real world. Not textbook stuff, real stuff.
And the fact that you're here listening means you're already taking the first step. You're aware that this matters.
Because better articulation doesn't just make you sound smarter. It makes you feel smarter. It makes you more confident. And it opens doors you didn't even know were closed.
Stick with us. We're diving deep into how language actually works, how to be more persuasive, how to connect with people better. Real communication skills that actually matter in your life. That's all for now. See you in the next episode.